I sent somebody a monthly update once with 11 charts in it. Took about 2 hours to build. The reply came back the same afternoon and it was one word, thanks. That was the correct reply. There was nothing in that document worth asking a question about. The person paying had exactly one thing they wanted to know, which was whether to keep paying, and I had spent 11 charts answering something else entirely. Who is talking? I sell link placements and I buy them. I run a handful of content sites of my own, and I keep ledgers in both directions, one for links I have paid for, and one for links other people pay me to host, so I am on both ends of this. I write updates for people who are paying me, and I read updates from people I am paying, and I have been bad at it in both directions. I also wrote up a single spend of $387 on 3 links in detail somewhere else with the vetting numbers and the one placement that never went live. That piece is about what a result actually looked like. This one is about the format instead, the document itself and the relationship the document is supposed to hold up. The one question, somebody paying for SEO has one question. Is this worth continuing? Everything else they ask is a proxy for it. Why did traffic dip? What about the competitor? How long until we rank? All of it walks back to the same place. The standard report answers a different question, which is whether you have been busy. Those are not the same document and they do not even want the same numbers in them. What the format is really for. Be honest about where it came from. Most reporting templates exist because somebody needed proof of work to justify an invoice. That is not a scandal, it is a different design brief. A document built to demonstrate effort fills itself with whatever is easy to count, and in this job the easy things to count are almost never the things that matter. You can tell from what sits on page 1. If page 1 is a big number going up and page 4 is the actual work, the thing was built to reassure, the metric that moves on its own, first failure, and the most common one by a distance. The standard report opens with total organic traffic, or impressions, or a count of keywords ranking somewhere inside the top 100. All 3 of those move for reasons that have nothing to do with anything you did, impressions especially. A search feature appears on a query you are nowhere near, your listing gets pulled onto a page nobody scrolls, and impressions climb. Nothing happened. You were paid for a month in which nothing happened and the chart went up. It runs the other way too. A competitor has an outage, you pick up their clicks for 9 days, then they come back. If you claim the rise, you now have to explain the fall. Seasonality does this. A rebrand somebody ran on the other side of the business does this. An ad campaign lifting branded search does this and then quietly gets attributed to you. So the rule I use is blunt. If you cannot name the specific thing you did that caused the number to move, that number does not go at the top of the page. Activity dressed up as an outcome, second failure. This is the one I am personally worst at, because activity is what I sell. Links built, pages optimized, issues fixed, audit completed. Every one of those is a count of things that left my desk. A count of links built is a count of invoices. It tells you what I spent and how hard I worked, and it tells you nothing about whether any of it landed. There is a version of this job where you hit the activity number every month for a year, while the thing the payer cares about sits exactly where it started. I have watched that from the outside. Every figure in the deck was real. The site was in the same place 12 months later. They report activity anyway, because they are paying for it, but report it as an input with a claim attached. We placed 4 links on these pages. Here is what I expect that to do. Here is when I will know. That last clause is where almost everybody stops writing, the words that make people nod. Third failure, and this is the one that does the lasting damage. Crawl budget, topical authority, entity coverage, index bloat, link velocity. Every one of those means something, and several of them mean something quite precise. But in a document aimed at somebody who does not do this for a living, they work as a way of ending a conversation politely. The reader nods. The reader does not ask, because asking means admitting they do not know, and they hired you so they would not have to know. That trade feels fine at the time. It is a loan against future trust and the repayment arrives all at once. 6 months in, with the graph flat, the person paying goes back through those documents and reads them with a different face on. Every unexplained term now looks like it was covering for something. They will not accuse you of anything. They will stop replying to emails and let the contract run out. So here is the test for every sentence in a report. Could the reader repeat it to a third person without you in the room? What goes in instead? 4 things. I will take them in order. The pages, not 300 keywords. somewhere between 5 and 10 URLs that matter, named with where each one currently stands. If the person paying cannot tell you which pages make them money, you have found a much larger problem than reporting, and you should stop and fix that one first. A list that short is readable and specific enough to argue with, that is the entire point of it. What moved and why I think it moved. For each of those pages, the change since last time and my read on the cause. My read stated as a read. I think this one moved because we changed the title and it picked up the phrase people are typing. I think this one dropped because a much bigger site published on the same subject 3 weeks ago. Being wrong in writing is survivable. Being vague in rating is what eventually gets you fired, because vague reads as evasive the moment results stall. What I did and what I expected to do. The activity with a prediction attached and a date on the prediction. We bought 2 placements on pages about the same subject as this URL. I expect movement somewhere between 6 and 12 weeks out, and if there is nothing by then, I will tell you the money did not work. Rating that down is uncomfortable. That is the correct feeling, and it is the reason people leave it out. What got worse? This is the section that buys you everything else in the document. Something is always worse. A page fell, a link came down, a redirect got missed during a migration, a listing you paid for still is not live 8 days after the invoice cleared. Put it in and put it near the top rather than an appendix at the back. The first time you volunteer a loss the reader would never have found on their own, the whole rest of the report becomes credible in a way no amount of confident language could have managed. And if that section is empty, you did not look hard enough. I do not know yet. Now the hard one. There is a sentence almost nobody writes into a paid report. I do not know yet. You have to write it early, in month 1 or 2, while it is still a plain description of reality rather than an excuse. If the first time you say it is month 7 with a flat graph behind you, it does not sound like honesty. It sounds like a hedge you invented under pressure, and it is too late to be believed. The alternative is worse than it looks. The alternative is a chart of something irrelevant going up, which is exactly what fills the space where I do not know yet should have been. I have sent those charts. Everybody working in this trade has sent those charts. The conversation that should happen first. Here is the one that would prevent most of the above, and almost nobody has it. Before any money moves, agree how long this takes and what the first checkpoint is. Links do not do anything measurable in 3 weeks. Content aimed at a query you do not rank for at all does not do anything measurable in a month. Anybody telling you otherwise is either selling or has never sat and watched a page climb. So say the number out loud. I think we see a first real signal at 10 to 14 weeks. Before that, everything I send you is inputs and observations. If that timescale does not work for you, then we should not start. That conversation cost you deals. It is still the right one, because the deals it cost you are the ones that go bad in month 4. It protects you afterwards too. Once a checkpoint is agreed in writing, a quiet month 2 is the plan working instead of a problem. The shape of the thing, shorter than you think it should be, email body rather than an attachment. If it is a PDF, half the people you send it to open it on a phone, decide to read it properly later, and never do. No dashboard login. A dashboard is a place where somebody who does not do this job goes to feel stupid on their own time, and write it so it invites an argument. Leave your read on the cause exposed. Name the thing you are unsure about. Put a direct question in it, where I got this wrong myself. Worth saying what I did rather than only what I would advise. Analytics on one of my sites got wiped in an unrelated platform mess earlier this year, and reporting has been broken since. I knew about it within a day. I carried on publishing and carried on buying placements for weeks anyway, because the work felt productive and stopping to repair the measurement felt like admin. So for that whole stretch, I could not have written an honest report about my own site if you paid me. I would have been guessing, and I would have written the guesses with a straight face, because that is what people do when the alternative is admitting they are flying blind. My outbound link ledger only starts in July of this year for the same reason. Everything before that is reconstructed out of email searches. It is incomplete, and I know it is incomplete. The test I use now, 1 line, and it is the position I will argue with anybody about. A report nobody asks a question about is a report nobody read. Not a clear report, not a good one, an unread one. Silence is not approval. It is the sound of a document doing nothing at all. So if what comes back is thanks, or a thumbs up, or nothing, you did not get away with it. You burned 2 hours, and you spent a little of the trust you are going to need in month 6. Give them something to push back on. A number you are unsure about. A call you made that they might disagree with. the thing that got worse. The reporting format I actually use and the questions I ask before agreeing a timescale with anybody are at theseodesk.com. Subscribe for more on link building.